It's going down, folks. Painless. Kwame Kilpatrick sentenced today. I believe he was convicted of 20 of the original 24 charges, that extortion and money laundering being the most serious of the charges, along with a business associate, which was also sentenced because of his involvement with forced contracts. You know what's unfortunate? It really is. I believe Kwame Kilpatrick was one of the youngest mayors, if not the youngest African-American mayor in the country. And fell victim to a Jezebel, which was a blow to his political career. I believe his mother, Congresswoman, I forget her name, Cheeks Kilpatrick, out of Detroit, was forced to resign because of her son's scandal. This is a mockery to the name Kilpatrick. And I just go on and say it. You politicians, a lot of you black politicians, you try to emulate white politicians. And I should remind you that white politicians have had more than enough time to master the ins and outs of this system. And we've always seen black folks emulating white people. We see it in rap with the naming of Italian and Jewish mobsters, Benny Siegel, Capone Noriega, Scarface, always following the criminal element of a people that usually involve themselves in that type of corruption. And this is no different. And here we have a Democratic city, a Democratic mayor, and a heavily black populated city. Yet it's in ruins. This is a man who spent $840,000 over his salary. Almost $1 million over his salary. What did you expect? I'm glad they convicted him, because it's people like him that give other up-and-coming black politicians a bad name. And this is why I'm very skeptical of myself when doing Negro business, when doing things when there's a lot of black folks involved. Every time it's some black folks involved in stuff, it's always some mess. It's always about some money. It's always somebody figuring, well, I need to get paid for this. You can never get black folks to do anything out of charity. It's always some Negro money business. And it's always some backbiting, underneath the table type stuff. Now, before you say, well, white folks do it too, Painless. Look at the mafia. They extort. Well, the mafia neighborhoods are not in debt. Mafia Italian Jewish neighborhoods don't have to cut off city lights because they're broke, as the story was reported a couple months in Detroit, where they were so poor they had to cut out city block street lights. So while the mafia may be involved in extortion and money laundering, at least they can keep their communities and their people tended for. We got crime in Detroit, and I've said this before. I have to keep repeating it, and I get tired of repeating it. You look at cities. Look at Baltimore. Plenty Negroes killing each other. Detroit, plenty of Negroes killing each other. Philadelphia, plenty of Negroes killing each other. Atlanta, plenty of Negroes killing each other, full of black police, full of crooked black politicians. Not all of them, don't get me wrong, but enough to raise an alarm. I mean, this man, it's the old kickback scheme. And white politicians do it. I can go back to Tom DeLay, even though he wasn't extorting. I mean, he was involved in voter fraud, voter contributions, money fraud. Because some of y'all may be saying, well, why are they putting him in jail? This man was involved in contract fraud, the pay to play, meaning that you ain't going to get no work in this city unless you go through this man. That's serious. And we know that people had a target on him. Fell victim to a Jezebel. You know, brothers can't just ignore big booty and a smile. Always, you want to trap a Negro? Put a big booty in his face. That's how you get a black man. Throw a big booty and a smile in his face, and he'll lose all composure, all type of bearing, and it'll be the end of him. And I say again, you cannot do what these white politicians... And see, when Negroes do stuff, Negroes is just messy with it. Negro will be... A Negro will have a thing of coke right here, some weed right here, talking about, trying to launder money and stuff. And you a congressman. Just like that brother they got down in Louisiana who had like $100,000 in a damn freezer. He down there, Manuel Noriega down there in Louisiana. He down there Escobar down in Louisiana with money in the freezer. What was his name? William Jefferson? The brother's he's 65 years old, doing 13 years down in Beaumont, Texas, in a federal facility because he was sloppy. At least when these white folks do it, they do enough just to, all right, Tom, don't do that again. When niggas do stuff, y'all just bring the whole kit and caboodle. Y'all just sloppy and messy with y'all damn roguishness. That's what gets me. Marion Barry, on camera, treating his nose. Had the lady out there in Baltimore. What was that? I forget her name, Mayor. This chick received gift cards supposed to be given out to poor folks on the east and west side of Bmore. This chick is using them for personal gain. This chick is using them for her own personal business. And see, when white folks see this, when white folks see, hey, okay, we'll give him Detroit, we'll give him Baltimore. And then you do stuff like this. This is always the question, well, can black folks govern themselves? Can they really govern themselves? Which is kind of a silly question, but when you really look at it and don't look surface, see, black folks, when they hear that, they're like, what you mean, can we govern ourselves? What kind of question that is, man? On the surface, it sounds silly, but when you really examine it, which is what I do, I'm a deep thinker, I ask, can black folks really govern themselves? Are black folks entrusted to really oversee the stewardship of their own people? Can black folks do that? I mean, we can talk about, what's a brother name from Newark? But this brother, he comes from a different ilk, all right? I can tell he's been around white folks, and he's developed ways. And the ways of the white people are not exclusively white. They are just common sense. See, black folks, the way the brother from Newark, Cory Booker or something like this, I believe that's his name. His leadership is rather unique, and it's not Negroish, which is refreshing. See, a Negro ain't gonna live in the community with you. A Negro is gonna move as far away as jurisdictionally possible, so long as he's allowed to govern, and that's what he's gonna do. But see, this brother was unique, and I respect his style, even though some people are going to be have some questionable, people from Newark or whatever. But you can't make everybody happy. But Negro business, and you can't discount this. We still have a slave mentality, and I know that sounds cliche, but my spin on the slave mentality is that we don't have the reason and logic skills up here as most of us as black folks. We don't understand politics. We have a real childlike approach to things. And then I watched, they did the interview on the uncle. I guess they tried to go to the house of ex-mayor of Detroit, Kwame Kilpatrick, and do a video and really just get some feedback on the family after the verdict. This Negro was going to say, well, it's a bad day for Detroit. Why you say that, sir? Well, Detroit's going to be destroyed. How is that? Read your Bible. I was like, oh, gosh. See, and that's the problem. You Negro, I've discussed, I'm not even going to go there with black folks and religion in this video. I'm not even going there. You decide, based off what I said. You decide. But this is real ridiculous, man. It's crazy. It's really crazy. What's going on? Whew, you Negroes gonna learn. You don't have the mind. You see, you want the glitz and glamour of politics, but you don't know how to wheel and deal. And that's how a lot of black politicians get caught up. They eyes, you ever heard that saying, when you get too much food, when your folks used to say, you're going to eat all that food. You see, you know why? Because your eyes is bigger than them plates. And you're going to finish that food, black folk. You're going to finish.